it's at a much more serious level than just your likes or somebody else putting something. So I think it's absolutely unethical, and it's not right to do something like that. You can't relate. It's not like it makes sense also. It's not going to help the person who is injured or who is the casualty. So it doesn't matter, you know. It's just something wrong you're doing on Facebook.
You cannot just gather the public interest with such kind of posts. You cannot really use the emotions of other people to basically earn or basically draw the interest of other people. So it's unethical.
They're not spamming a profile. Newsfeed is something really different. It's not my private newsfeed. It's not my profile. So I think it's ethical.
Using lives of the people, personal lives for your own marketing is is pretty unethical on the part of the Facebook.
In fact, angry reactions coming in. Let's take a look at some of them that we've got on Twitter. And here's a user called Kate Crawford who's saying that let's call the Facebook experiment what it is, a symptom of a much wider failure to think about ethics, power and consent on platforms. Another user says the researcher in the Facebook emotion manipulation experiment should be ashamed of themselves too. In the wake of both the Snowden stuff and the Cuba Twitter stuff, the Facebook transmission of anger experiment is terrifying, says a third user. Laura Helmut says no Facebook, that is not what informed consent means, and we're not sure why people are so up in arms about the Facebook experiment, says another user. This is a different point of view. Advertisers manipulate consumers constantly. Emotional control is their goal, is what this particular user says. Let's talk now to Ankit Vengurlekar. He's the tech correspondent of CNBC TV18 and is joining us from Mumbai this afternoon. Also with us is psychologist Meera Haran Alva. She's with us live from Bangalore. Thanks to both of you this afternoon. Ankit, when I sign into Facebook, do I give them consent to track my moods as well?
Well, I mean, broadly, the answer to that can be yes, because when you do sign up and consent to the terms of service, you're in a way, and it's not just Facebook, you know, the whole coterie of online social networking sites, or for that matter, any web-enabled product or service, like, for example, email, where, you know, products like Yahoo Mail and Gmail are tracking your email to give you very, very specific niche targeted advertisements. So when you do sign up on a platform like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or Skype, you are in a way giving away your right to privacy when you are publishing any public content on that particular platform. It is, I must say, very, very uncool that Facebook carried out this research with almost 600,000 users without actually taking their consent in writing or some form of legitimacy. They are going to try and hide behind this whole, you know, we've stated it in our terms of service that if you do consent to use a platform, you're open to some sort of manipulation of the newsfeed. But it is definitely bordering on unethical in this particular case.
So, Ankit, you're saying that any social networking site or when we go online, even to emails, we can become a guinea pig. We have to be open to that idea.
You know, that is, I think, the biggest price we have to pay in the 21st century. The minute we decide to sign up, and these are all opt-in mediums, let me remind you of that. You choose to make an email account, you choose to make or create an Instagram account and post duck-face selfies or whatever else. You choose to post updates on Facebook and Twitter and all of that. So this is an opt-in medium, and you will go there with the knowledge or the common sense that anything you post publicly ceases to be called your own private data or information, and especially in a country like India where information and IT laws aren't really well articulated on subjects like this, it can get you in a lot of trouble in a lot of gray areas. So it is all public data in effect. I don't think it's private anymore, and we just have to make peace with that or opt out of the medium and delete or deactivate our accounts.
All right, so do we have a right to criticize is one of the questions that we need to ask. But let's bring in Meera Haran Alva, who's joining us live this afternoon from Bangalore. Ms. Alva, what's your take? Is it possible to alter mood the way that Facebook is saying it has?
Well, yes, it is. It is possible. And as a psychologist, of course, I believe that this is quite damaging for the mental health of people concerned. And I think it's a really unethical experiment, because I think, however, you know, this may be a public forum. You're dealing with people's emotions and shared information. Even if it's public, these are people's emotions at the end of the day. So I think we need to be really, you know, quite sensitive and, you know, tuned into the privacy at some level, you know, because this is an experiment. And, you know, I believe that this is a betrayal of the Facebook users. And this is really unethical.
So you're saying that emotions can be contagious. So it will have an impact on you and me if we have Facebook accounts.
Absolutely, absolutely, it is. Any human interaction is contagious, right? And a forum like this, where there's there's non-verbal cues. There's no non-verbal cues. It's only verbal information, but there's constant bombardment of emotions, and this, of course, is contagious. And especially for people who are young, vulnerable, out there, seeking validation, affirmation, this can be very, very detrimental to their mental health.
How detrimental can it be? Because it's like this, we are not talking to anyone face to face, we are not participating in what makes them happy or sad, and yet we are being influenced.
See, that's the thing about Facebook. So, this constant bombardment and the information that is being received in this news feed, it's constant. And I'm talking about the population, people who are using this, largely young people who are vulnerable and who may not have that much of self-emotional regulation. Even regular people like us, can be quite destabilized. So, I'm quite concerned about, the mental health of the users. And of course, the unethical aspect of this. This is, completely a breach of the ethics. And people are unaware of this. When you sign up on Facebook, you really don't know about these clauses.
Right.
So it's also it's very manipulative, yeah.
All right, so you're saying we were manipulated, it's unethical on Facebook's part, but Ankit, should we be prepared to be guinea pigs? Do we have the right to criticize when we are signing up for Facebook or Twitter or any such online medium?
No, absolutely. I think if at all the one beautiful thing that social media has given us, it is the right to freedom of expression and express our displeasure and discontent with experiments like this where informed consent hasn't really been taken from users. To be fair, in the Indian context, in a way, we are buffered to a large extent because in the global context, we're looking at over 1 billion active users of Facebook. And this is largely a study that has been focused on Western users. In India, we have merely about 100 million active users. When it comes to Facebook, fortunately or unfortunately, it helps in this particular issue that our internet penetration itself for a country of over a billion is less than about 13%. So, there's a lot of ground to cover, a lot of miles to cover in terms of internet penetration in a country like India. But when it comes to platforms like Facebook or social media platforms like Twitter or Google Plus, it is, I think, a bigger, larger moral responsibility, one that cannot be put down in legalese, which, brands and companies and CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg really need to own up and act responsibly and really need to be sensitive towards the emotional ramifications of their tiny decisions or algorithms.
Ankit, I'm just wondering if you could just take us through Facebook's first response. I believe one of those researchers has put out a statement and has said that this was done with a motive to see if moods were negatively being influenced by Facebook posts and that they did it only for 1 week.
Absolutely. So this research was carried out between Jan 11 and Jan 18th of 2012. And that is when, the common perception doing the rounds in global technology circles was that if I'm seeing a friend of mine post a really happy picture, in a way bragging about their awesome life, then I as a user will actually get negatively influenced by that, and I might actually, find myself getting depressed or upset or something. So the objective of this research was to try and find a linkage and to verify whether, this common perception is actually true. The research suggests otherwise. If I see my friends posting happy posts, I will in a way be influenced to think happy thoughts and maybe share happy Facebook status updates, and likewise for negative posts as well. So even though the intention was clinical and it was, they meant well, but the way they went about it without the informed consent of over 7 lakh users, that borders on unethical.
All right, unethical is the word from both of you. Thanks for joining us this afternoon on CNN IB. And